Um, I'm sitting here. It's a nice, crazy, rainy day in Fairfield. I'm just waiting to take care of some business, waiting on something to open up. So I figure I'd go ahead and do my Pacific Rim movie review. So today's episode of Movies on the Run is taking place in the rain in my truck with Batman sitting in the back seat. Yep, that's how I roll. So I'm gonna tell you how much I liked, how much I disliked, and just everything in between on this. And as you all know, for Movies on the Run, we do a different type of rating system. So we don't do 1 through 5 or 1 through 10 or this many stars, all that good stuff. We measure our movies in running distances. So our 1 through 5 is the 5K, the 10K, the half marathon, the full marathon, and then the crazy ultra. So ultra is obviously the highest point that you can get. Now, Pacific Uprising is a quicker departure from the more slower paced Pacific Rim, which is directed by Guillermo del Toro, Mr. In the Shape of Water, or as I like to look at it. I haven't seen the movie yet, but I find it a striking resemblance to Abe Sapien, but people are saying that it's actually not Abe Sapien's love story, so I digress. Now, with that being said, back to Pacific Rim Uprising. What I liked about it, Scott Eastwood is in it, who's doing a deadpan impression of his dad in certain scenes, almost to the point to where he actually sounds like his dad when he's giving a lot of military commands or when he's talking to the new recruits, because that's what this is basically. And I think Black Nerd Comedy Andre had mentioned that basically Pacific Rim is the newest Power Rangers movie. And with that being said, I can see where he drew that conclusion, because the young girl who is the newest member of the team is basically going through the Jaegers. Oh, this person, this Jaeger does this, and this Jaeger does that, and oh, this one does that. And they even go down to making the Jaegers specific colors are doing certain things. Just kind of like with the first one, but they didn't necessarily specify. Like with the Russian one, you knew that they were obviously the red ones. The Jaeger, which was piloted, Gypsy, I think, which was piloted by Charlie Hannem, aka Jax from Sons of Anarchy. He piloted the Gypsy, the blue one, and then Idris Elba came in at the last minute, did his thing. So with this one, for those of you all that don't know, John Boyega, aka Finn, aka I heard a rumor that he was possibly being asked to do Blade in Infinity War, but then he also said that that would be a slap in the face, or a spit in the face, if I'm not mistaken, to Wesley Snipes. So bravo on you on that one. But either way, he's the son of Idris Elba's character, who I think he got kicked out of the academy or decided to opt out of the academy because he didn't want to fight. So he becomes this petty crook, and he needs everyone else around him to reassure him of his greatness and his potential, which I kind of found kind of stupid. And I really kind of detest movies where a black character needs reassurance from everyone else to tell him, hey, you're fucking up, whereas you're fucking up. He even, like, at points in the movie knows he's fucking up, but he waits for everyone else to tell him, hey, you're a fuck up, but you come from greatness. Why do you have to be such a fuck up? So, I kind of like was like, you know. And the other thing that I kind of noticed about Pacific Rim was, is John Boyega the only black person at the Academy? I noticed that the representation, and I think between both movies, was kind of like that. Even with like Idris Elba, I think there were a few black folks or other black people a part of the war in the first movie, but in this one, I swear to God, and I will watch it again just to make sure, but I can honestly tell you, I do not see or remember seeing any other black person, male or female, young or old, in this film besides when they showed you pictures of Idris Elba. So I mean, I guess there you go. But it was like he was the last black man on the planet, and I hated the fact that they made him this overly sexualized. He seemed like he was almost predatorish with the shit he was saying. Like he always had to talk about how good he looked and how he's the best at they were throwing in a few little sexual innuendos, but the fucking person he's talking to is the young girl. She's like 15, 16 years old, if that. And she's like this prodigy that can put together fucking Jaegers from other pieces. And I just thought that was kind of like, okay, what was the point of that? Um, Scott Eastwood's character was like the typical military character who had to whip everybody into shape, but he couldn't do it without his best friend, which just so happened to be John Boyega. And the one other scene that I always kind of hate this in movies, but they did it as a joke, but it didn't come across, I think, as clear as they wanted it to. So the kaiju start attacking the base, and when Scott Eastwood's character gets saved by a female character that John Boyega likes, they do the whole thing where she pulls him from danger, and she ends up falling on top of him, and he looks at them and goes, "Really? At this time? Y'all want to do this at this time?" And I know where they were going with it, and as a filmmaker, I know it's all about the narrative. And yes, I am a student filmmaker, and I have a few credits to my belt. But I think I am comfortable as an audience member to comment on when I think things are like inappropriate or like they just don't make any damn sense. And I think that was one of the many jokes that was in there. Now, the one thing I did kind of find funny was one of the Russian, or he was either Russian or Czech, I think. No, not Russian. I'm sorry, I'm messing it up. I think he was German. But either way, they play that one yodeling song, the yodel like that. And the little Indian kid is like, "Yo, are you serious?" And he was like, "Hey man, what can I say? My grandmother used to play it to keep me calm." And I thought that was kind of funny that even in whatever year this takes place, obviously it's the near to distant future, that little troll thing would just make its way into the movie. The other thing I noticed about the representation, kind of getting back with the John Boyega thing, being the last black on Earth, was I'm all about representation. And I know in certain movies, there's a reason why you rarely see a lot of black folks in certain films. And to a filmmaker, and as a father and an uncle and a brother, I feel that yes, it's a make-believe film, but that whole narrative of, oh, it's just a movie, why am I thinking about it like that? Well, when I tell people that, or when people tell me that, I say, well, you don't have to worry about representation in your films because white is always right and white is always might. But yet, it was almost like with John Boyega's character, it was like he was this buffoon. And that was another thing that I was like, damn, so he basically is playing a edgier Finn, because I didn't really care for the Finn character in the Star Wars movie because he was a damn coward, and who needed reassurance from everybody else instead of himself to realize that he can do wonders in the Star Wars universe. But that's a different topic. We're staying on topic with Pacific Rim. And I noticed that the Russian or either the German kid who his Jaeger pilot partner was the Indian kid, I thought he died in the film. And then at the very damn end, when they showed, not the very end, I'm sorry, because we keep it spoiler free here, but in another scene, the Indian kid looks like he's on crutches. And I was like, wait, I thought he died. Because they did the whole, hey, what happened to him? And then they just show the hand, like, kind of reaching out. But it was because of his stupidity that got him killed, which was almost the same argument of why John Boyega got kicked out of the academy because he wanted to prove just how bad he was, and he ended up getting kicked out of the academy. But like, there was nothing said about the recklessness of what happened to this one dude. So I was like, wow, okay, that's privilege. That's white privilege at its best. Didn't have to account for it, but like I said, when the kid sort of showed up at the end, I was like, so nobody's gonna question this. That was just me. I don't want to dwell on it too long, but you know, it's just stuff like that that you have to pay attention to. Read between the lines and pay attention to the science, because there's a reason why we are not shown in like more futuristic movies, and when we are, it's few and far between. Um, there's a reason behind that. Pay attention to it. I think Dr. Phil Valentine gives a great explanation as to why blacks are not seen in more sci-fi movies, and if they are, and when they are, they're few and far between. So here's my rating for Pacific Rim Uprising. Is it a 5K? Is it 10K? Half marathon, full marathon, or the crazy ultra? I think the movie would have been better had Giant Boyega's character not been a stereotypical character. Yes, we should have had a little bit. If it's Pacific Rim and all of these people are living in the Pacific, I've seen more whites, I've seen more Asian, but yet Asia actually has a huge African population in certain parts of like Japan. There's a huge African, not a huge, there's a pretty decent African population in Japan. But in China, there's a huge population of Africans. When I traveled back from Australia, I remember meeting uh, cats from Zimbabwe, from Ghana, from Mozambique, and this was all on my flight. So I thought that was actually pretty good and pretty cool. So the fact that they try to keep the whole there's not too many blacks in the Pacific was a lie. Because I mean, fuck, I was in the service, and there's a lot of us in the service that are stationed overseas. So that's just it. And you know, sorry to kind of get off tangent with this one, but I just felt like I had to really get this one off my chest. But I did enjoy Pacific Rim, minus the stereotypical nonsense of the story we've seen before: kaiju or attacking, they breach, and then we got to get the Jaegers together, and then we have to have this ex machina moment where everything kind of falls into play. Um, and the great white hope, which was the little girl or the little teenager in it, is the saving grace. So I will say that it's a half marathon with a 5K added on to it. So that's my rating. So hope you all enjoyed this episode of Movies on the Run. Um, I'm Freddie Lee Jones, aka Cosplay Freddy. Cosplay Freddy out. Say bye, Batman. Just throw it. That's it.